Hi there. Looks like most people have joined now. Just give me an extra minute or so, as I know it's half term. I didn't know if people had to kind of put the kids away or something. But I see some more people are trickling through, which is great. I see some familiar faces on the call. Hi, Tamsin, Sharon, James, Elliot, and among others as well. Obviously, the ones I mentioned there should know who I am. But for everyone else, I'm Sam. I head up the account management team here at Futrli. And today we're going to run through the title of the webinar is how to separate the good, the bad, and the ugly. And effectively, we're going to do that by looking at flow, which is the first component in the Futrli platform. As always, if you've got any questions through the session, then do feel free to use the Q&A function of Zoom. I'll probably come to that at the end of the session. We've got the full hour today, but we probably won't need that. We might just need only half an hour or so. So hopefully give you some extra time through the rest of the day. I will also send the recording as well. So if you miss anything, then hopefully the recording will cover off everything that you need to. Hopefully everyone can see me okay. It's got a bit darker outside, and I'll put the light on as the clock's gone back, and we are now fully getting ready for winter, which is all very fun. But yeah, hopefully you're all kind of staying warm. My heating is on as it's now kind of that time of the year, I suppose. But either way, as much as exciting as the weather is, we can talk about kind of flow instead. So as I mentioned, flow is the first component of the Futrli platform. And just before we kind of jump into the application, it's probably worth just understanding kind of why we built it or where it kind of came from. So obviously we had Futrli Advisor, and we still do, and it's doing incredibly well for the kind of top tier client. So for that client that wants your management accounts and the detailed strategic conversation, live dashboards to track certain KPIs, then Advisor is certainly the tool for that. But we've then realized that obviously within an accounting practice, not every client is of that size or requires that level of insight. So therefore, we built the Futrli platform to help satisfy that larger kind of client base, maybe the 90% of your portfolio. It does differ, so it could be 60% if you kind of got a lot of clients that want management accounts and so forth. But effectively, there is a ceiling of clients that kind of want that top tier. So therefore, for everyone else, they want something a bit different, maybe a bit more plug and play, a bit more instant, and a bit more, I suppose, user friendly, you could say, but in an area that is easy for them to digest, and it's not a kind of complex set of management accounts which they might not quite understand because they're a bit smaller maybe, and also maybe the price point of using something like Flow or even Predict in the Futrli platform is a little bit easier to digest rather than a kind of a big forecast which could cost £1,000, for example. So that's kind of where we built and why we built the Futrli platform, is for that kind of client that wants something a bit different, but is certainly, in your eyes, needing something extra to protect themselves and to understand their numbers better, rather than just looking at the bank balance. Certainly, the Futrli platform is taking that original information from Xero and QuickBooks and giving some great insights on top of that. So let's have a little jump in and we'll have a look at the flow. Cool. So hopefully everyone can see this now. And this is Flow's action feed. I'm just going to hit refresh, just because it might have timed out all that spiel I was giving, just so it kind of is completely up to date. And yeah, this is the action feed. So this is kind of the centerpiece of Flow. What it is a priority ordered action feed. So at the top, we've got the most urgent issue. And all the way down the bottom, just scrolls through into less important, but still useful notifications. And like I mentioned, it is a plug and play solution. So all we do to connect up a client to this is go to the organizations, click add organization. You then type in the name of your company, your client, connect to Flow, Xero QuickBooks, and then off you go. It is simply like I said, a plug and play solution. And once you've connected up, it takes a couple of minutes to sync, depending on how big the organization is. And you then got all of this information built out for your client to use. And certainly we see this as a tool that your client would use. You would have access and control over it because you'd have your account like I do here, and you would connect your clients to it and invite them in. So you can certainly engage with it as much as you want to. But certainly we see it as a tool for them to have kind of insight, for them to use on a daily or weekly basis. Because I suppose within that 90-10 argument, let's say, for example, you've got 100 clients, 10 of them are on the management account service, but we can't produce a set of management accounts to every single one of those clients because we don't have the time. Certainly you don't have the time to be able to do that for all those clients. Not only the fact, do those clients not necessarily kind of need that because they're a bit smaller maybe. So therefore, this is a solution which does the heavy lifting for both yourself and the client, because they can log in and use it. They can get protected from the extra information that they use, and they can effectively kind of distinguish the good from the bad and the ugly, using the kind of different notifications and different analysis that we'll come on to. So, like I said, this is the priority order action feed. At the top, the most urgent issue. You can then scroll through a variety of different ones. So at the top, we've got here giving you a insight into the credit scores that we can have a look at. It's one of the integrations with our kind of credit scoring insurer, which we'll come on to a bit more detail in a sec. And we can see on the right-hand side the various other kind of functions. So we've got mark as read, and we've got pin this post. So the idea of the action feed is for that client to engage with it like they would kind of Facebook or LinkedIn, for example. So they can just scroll through over a morning coffee or something and really get up to speed with where their company is. You can then mark things off as read, so it will then kind of disappear from the next time you have a look. And if, for example, this is really important, there are 7 overdue invoices from customers right now, totaling 20,000. That client can then scroll through and see the different invoices that are outstanding. But if it's really important, we can pin it. And then let's say we pin another one. So maybe your customers, you're paying your suppliers 13 days faster than your customers are paying you. So it's paying you, it's putting you at risk. So let's pin that as well, so we can kind of keep track of both those. And then when that client next logs in, we go to pinned, we'll see those 2 notifications there. So then we're just going to kind of stay on top of them, make sure we're always aware of them. It will update, but they won't disappear. Unlike on our urgent action feed, when you mark things off as read, like that did previously, that notification is now no longer there. We'll see it at the bottom though, so it isn't lost forever. But yeah, that's just a good way to kind of interact with it. So we've got that notification, overdue invoices, and we've got a variety of ones around invoices and bills and so forth. So let's have a look at through the others. Down here, over 30 days, you've raised 23,000 odd of invoices, and of them, we predicted 2 customers will pay you late. So really interesting sort of insights that your client can have a look at. We can then jump into who they are, which we'll look at in a sec, but we're just going to kind of continue with this action feed, just have a look at the other notifications. We've had a look at that one. So we're being the good guy and our customers aren't paying us as quick as we are. So that's certainly a good maybe talking point. Maybe your client would see this, for example, and then kind of raise it in a meeting with you and be like, hey, I've seen that I'm actually paying my customers, my suppliers quicker than I'm getting paid. So what does that kind of mean? Can we do anything about that? So it's kind of, like I said, giving that client the tools to understand their business better. And therefore, with a solution which is kind of hands-off, we're not really getting involved too much. They're using this themselves. They're then starting to prompt those discussions and lead to better opportunities with those sort of kind of analysis that flows drawing up. We scroll down again. We've got your bills have increased by 21,000 compared to this time this month. Does it require attention? You're due to be paid 7,000 by 2 customers this week based on current invoices. And I suppose these sort of notifications as well, because they're instant and timely, your clients as well as you are obviously very busy kind of running your own firm. So you're not necessarily as a business owner out there making money in a challenging situation as we find ourselves in at the moment. They don't really have time to sift through their Xero account and find what's due and what's overdue, or really start to analyze within Xero or QuickBooks, or start to kind of put their brain to it. What Flow's doing is surfacing all that information in an instant fashion. So that client can, like I said, in the morning over a coffee or whenever they got a few seconds, can quickly have a look at their company, understand their customer supply behavior, and really start to kind of use that to good effect. Come down here. Down here, your revenue is 30% dependent on Four Seasons Hotel, your largest customer. So think about spreading the risk if you can. A really good talking point again for client to accountant. And then down here, we've got some other integrations. So we partner with GoCardless and Receipt Bank, as you can see there. So I know a lot of you guys would have this in place already, and it's just a really good way to help your client see the value of it. So for example, with this one, it's taking Josie's Florist, which is the example company we're looking at here, 43 days to turn your invoices into cash. In the last 90 days, 3 of them were paid late. So GoCardless can help you get paid on time, every time. And then if you click Get Started Now, it will take you to a kind of a co-branded page where you can start to analyze it. And certainly your client would then maybe kind of get in touch with you. Is there something that we offer, and kind of have that set up from there. Then we've got a similar one with Receipt Bank. So it's been 7 days since we've seen any new expenses. Try Receipt Bank. Easy way to keep your finances up to date. Certainly a pillar to, I'm sure, a lot of your clients' setup is something like Receipt Bank. Certainly useful to have good data in, show good data out. So I'm sure you know the importance of something like that in place, and this is just surfacing it so that your client is ever more aware of that. Other ones down here, the dependency one, it was taking you 33 days on average for the last 3 invoices to be paid. This is up 32 days in the last 10 invoices. So it's increased slightly. Average invoiced revenue over the last 90 days is 3,000, which is down slightly. Over the last 90 days, it's taken you 18 days to pay your suppliers, down from 18 on one before. Loads of information, really interesting stuff, and it's, like I said, going down in severity. Still interesting, but your client can then, if they're really time poor, just focus on the ones that are most urgent right at the top. Well, let's scroll back up to the top. We've then, on the left-hand side, got some information, which your eyes are probably drawn to, but I'll explain kind of what that is. And it's saying to myself, the user that I've logged in, good afternoon, Sam, should be good evening now, pretty much. Either way, you'd have 2,216 more cash if all bills and invoices were paid. So really quick insight. Customers pay you in 31 days, you pay your suppliers again in 18 days. So just reiterating that imbalance. And then we've also got the credit score. There's a credit score of my own kind of company. So I could be an employee in Josie's Florist, for example, and I'm having a look at this. Cool, so that's that then. We then also have invite your team. That's just a way you can then invite in other clients, or if I was, like I said, the client of Josie's Florist, I could then invite a colleague in. Quite simple. Invite your client, invite your person, and then pop to here, where we then start to drill in and invite that person in just simply by typing in. You can also do multiple people at the same time. So if I type in a name, you can then click on the plus. If I do put in a valid email address, let's just go with sam@sam.com. Perfect. You can then add in multiple like that. But we'll escape out of that. So that is the action feed. And as I mentioned, you can then jump into these notifications. So this one, most urgent one, we've got 7 overdue invoices from customers right now, totaling £20,000 odd. So we click on the Take Me to the Invoices. We're going to jump into Flow In. That's where we then get loads of information on all of our customers. So all of our information flowing in to our company here. So we've got average days it takes for your customers to pay you. So again, imagine we're Josie, the florist, or an employee looking at that, and we can then start to see how that company is working. So average days it takes the customers to pay you. You can have a look over the last 12 months. We can have a look at it's 31 days in total. We've got late invoices, we've got 7 at the moment. How many are due? 44,000. How many overdue? 20,000. Again, just really quick and punchy information for that client to be drawn to, rather than having to sift through an account receivable, which they might not really understand. It's just surfacing it in an information, like I said at the beginning, in a fashion or in a way that client that can really understand. That maybe they're a bit smaller, they're not as financially savvy, or they just wanted something in addition to the report. This is the solution that can really help happen with that. Then down here we've got unpaid invoice detail. So this is incredibly important area, but arguably the kind of most interesting, you could say, of flow in, because we can have a look at credit scores. We can have a look at credit scores, and we can also click to get a quote. And so by that I mean we can ensure a overdue invoice, or an invoice rather that's just around the corner, against non-payment. So if I have a look at when these invoices are due, just to filter it by due date. So I'm going to have the latest at the top. Cool. So we've got ones that are not overdue, rather, just to kind of confirm it's obviously you can't insure an invoice that's overdue because that'd be crazy. But one that is maybe at risk, one that you're a bit concerned about, and one that is kind of due at some point, we can then insure it, or the client can. I think that's quite powerful in these current times where obviously things are so tricky with getting paid and ensuring that cash flow is kind of secure. We can click on this to get a quote. It'll then pop up a little modal in a sec. We've then got this here. So this is an invoice where we can then insure with Hakodo. And Hakodo are another integration that we've got. And we can then, or the client can, pay a small premium. So it's between 0.5% to 2%, I believe, of the invoice, so £5.60 of that invoice. And then if Hakodo are unable to chase the payment, if they don't receive payment, Hakodo will then pay 90% of the net invoice. So pretty powerful that for only a £5, we can ensure that we do always get paid for that client. If I then just click on this, how does this work? This will just help explain the way that Hakodo works. Hakodo are all about protecting your invoices. So with Hakodo, you can check your customers' credit scores, select the invoices you want to insure, get paid in time, regardless of whether your customers pay or not. So I think it's quite key there that we're insuring an individual invoice. We're not insuring like a portfolio or a whole client. It's just giving precise control to the business owner against relevant invoices. If you then scroll down, as it says here, providing peace of mind by protecting your invoices against non-payment. So you're always going to get paid using something like Hakodo. You have the flexibility to kind of choose what you want. There's no commitment. There's no fixed fee. You only pay for what you use. No more chasing. Hakodo will do that for you. And it is so easy to purchase. Like I said, it's just a one-off form that pops up. Enter in some couple details, and then protection, as it says there, is a few clicks away. And as they do go on to kind of really drill home, insurance couldn't be simpler. So you just select which invoice you want to protect. You get paid at least 90% of that invoice value. Covered in seconds. Invoices up to 20,000. So unfortunately, you can't insure an invoice. This is 20 million. But wouldn't it be great if we had invoices like that coming into your clients? But yeah, 20,000. And then a rock solid backing. So they're backed by Laws of London, and they are providing some really good help, I think, to the clients that are using Flow. So that is Hakodo. Like I mentioned, just one of the integrations within Flow that makes it kind of a one-stop shop for managing your kind of money coming in. Then within this box of unpaid invoice detail, we've got loads of other information. We've got predicted. So this is a pretty cool column where we can look at, if I just filter it, so we've got a different date range. We've got the latest at the top. So based off previous behavior, so let's say this invoice here, Four Seasons Hotel, we've got a due date of the 18th of November. That's what's stipulated in Zero. But based off previous behavior, Flow is predicting it to be paid on the 30th of November. So we can see it's going to be 12 days late. So that's kind of really useful information, because due dates are all very well, but when do we actually get paid? That's what the predicted column is doing there. We can then use a search function. You can then also search for areas, and you can change the dates and things. You can have the results to be a different table length. I think the default is 10 or so, so you can change that accordingly. Cool. We then scroll down. We then got loads of other kind of pre-built kind of KPIs for that client. Here we've got you have 24 odd thousand due within the next 30 days and 20,000 overdue. Customers are paying you on average 31 days. We can then see where within that bracket our invoices sit. So it's kind of like our debtor days analysis, I suppose. We then got predicted cash from sales, so we can see how that's working. The last couple of years compared, and then a prediction moving forward, and we can hover over them to see the values as it is there. And down here, we then got high-level customer overview. So we can see total customers, so the number of customers you've invoiced, new customers. Obviously, I'm using demo data, so it's quite interesting, just kind of flat. But you'll probably see things more like this with your clients actually fluctuating trend lines. So average value of invoices you've raised, total revenue. So we can see here, big dip in May, it seems, for this florist. Maybe she went on holiday. But we then got really good information, like I said, just punchy and instant really for that client. And then down here, we've got customer ranking. So we can then see each of Josie's clients ranked against each other. And again, like before, we can then change the kind of view to be however we want. So we can see who spent the most, Four Seasons Hotel, sent the biggest client, it looks like. We're 30% dependent on them. They've given us the most money, 136,000. Again, we can use the search function here. You can change it by average sales. We can do all sorts within that search function. And we can then see, like I said, quite quickly how quickly it takes each customer to pay us. So 44 days. This is our biggest client for Josie. They're 30% dependent and they're paying generally the longest. So maybe that's a good talking point for Josie to get in touch with yourself as the accountant to be like, hey, I've seen that my biggest company is paying me quite late. What can we do about that? And if we actually click on that, we can then see a full breakdown for that particular company, for Four Seasons Hotel. We can then see dependency rating. We can see how many invoices are overdue, what the last few invoices have been like. It sees generally that they are paying kind of quicker compared to last time, but I think it's probably a good talking point. How can we maybe spread the load as kind of that notification alluded to there? We can then see invoices raised over the last 12 months and invoices paid. We can then also jump into the invoices. We can see exactly what is going on with each individual invoice. So we can jump into as much detail as we really want, just giving that client the power to really understand the numbers as quickly and as detailed as they want to. And if we then jump back to the action feed, we've got all those notifications as we saw before, but we can then also go to flow out. So flow out is going to be pretty much the same setup as flow in, but with the kind of less attractive bills. So everyone likes to know where the money's coming from, but I think equally it's important to understand how you're paying. Because if, like on that notification before, where we're paying our suppliers quicker than we're getting paid from our customers, then that's a bit of an imbalance. So we need to have a look at that other side of the coin. But I'm sure we'd prefer always be talking about the money in, but I think flow out, like I said, is just as interesting or just as important. So flow out, we've got bills due and overdue. So we got you have 35,500 due within the next 30 days and 6,000 overdue. So you're paying your suppliers in 18 days on average. We've then got predicted outgoings from bills, again comparing to last year, so we can see if there's a difference. It's always good to have that kind of 2 years compared, even with the prediction as well, so we can really see if a month is a kind of how it compares to the previous year. Really, is that trend correct? What does that really mean? Then down in the unpaid bills detail, again, obviously similar sort of structure to what we had in the flow in, but we can now see on our unpaid bills, we can see when we predict them to be actually paid, how late they are. Again, the filtering options that we can go through. Then if we scroll down, we've got average days it takes for you to pay your suppliers. So we can see over time, what is the average day? Again, this information we just update Flow and Predict as well updates twice a day. So information is as up to date as it certainly can do. Unpaid bills, straight away we've got how many late bills we've got, how many due, how many overdue. We then got supply ranking again, and we can also click on the individual suppliers so we can see a full breakdown of that supply there. Trend lines there on the right hand side to really analyze and have a look at our flow out. And that's pretty much flow in a nutshell. It's like I said, a great tool to help understand the good from the bad from the ugly. It's a good tool to really start to see those customers and suppliers coming through and be able to surface those integrations like the GoCardless, like the Receipt Bank, and like the Hakodo Insurance. Having a look at who our kind of biggest and worst payment kind of customers are, because I'm sure everyone is able to kind of see how much money is in the bank, for example, and keep a track of that. But do we really understand exactly who our biggest customer is, or how late they're paying all the time, how dependent we are on them? Certainly this is just allowing that customer, that client rather, to understand that, whilst Flow is just doing the heavy lifting for both yourself to satisfy that larger portfolio of clients, which don't want the management accounts and things. But it's also doing the heavy lifting for the client because they're just out there kind of working their business. Therefore, it's giving them instant insights to go through that and really help understand what their customer and supplier behavior is doing. So I think that's pretty much it. I saw a couple of questions come through. I still think we'll come to that. So by all means, write your questions if you do have any. Now's your chance in the Q&A box, and I'll certainly try and to help that as best I can. And one question that's come through is how much is Flow? So Flow at the moment, because we've got obviously Predict in play, and Hannah kind of refers to Flow as Predict's little sister. If you have Predict in play, we're able to apply the same discount to Flow. So that therefore means that Flow is only £5 a month. So it is a really good entrance pricing model to give a client some extra protection. So certainly the two work nicely side by side, because you can then just easily flip between Flow and Predict and start to use Flow to analyze your customer supply behavior, and then Predict to look ahead and really start to use that information and build out some really cool forecasts. So yeah, it is a hopefully an achievable price point, and just get in touch with either myself, which will have my details, or indeed kind of your account manager or support team, and we can kind of go through that for you. Cool. Another question is what accounting platforms does Flow integrate with? And that is Xero and QuickBooks Online. So it's the same for Predict and the same for Advisor pretty much, that Xero and QuickBooks Online are the two accounting platforms that we connect with, mainly because it's just the biggest demand. Certainly Xero over here in Europe is kind of by far well, up there with the biggest cloud accounting packages. And then over in the States and other areas as well, QBO is the other big boy out there. We are looking at the integrations as well. I'm certainly happy to take on feedback. But yeah, those are the two that we integrate with. Cool. I think that is everything for now. One question just popped through. Tamsin, you've asked, is there a way to toggle off the GoCardless suggestion? Sometimes it's not necessary. So we can toggle it off by marking it as red, but we can't tell it to not surface. Although you might have GoCardless already in there for that client, it might still kind of give you useful information, such as the customer is getting paid late regularly and things, and you could use it with GoCardless. But if not, you could just have to mark it off as red. We are unable to kind of turn off GoCardless notifications at the moment. Not to say it might not be around the corner. And Tamsin, you're getting your money's worth. You've got another question. When will the Gmail or Slack integrations be coming? Yes, that's certainly a good point, that within Flow, we are able to kind of send notifications, or will be soon able to send notifications via Gmail or Slack, which will just make it that much more quicker to do. But unfortunately, that's not the case right now. Certainly, as you've asked that question. As to when they're coming, I'm not 100%. I think they will be on a public roadmap, which I can certainly share, or it's available in Peer, and I believe they're in there, but it's just on the list, unfortunately, and I don't have a confirmed date. Certainly it's going to make it quicker if your client sees something in there and they can quickly send a Gmail from there. But at the moment, it'll either be raising in a meeting, or you can take a screenshot and put it into an email. But yeah, unfortunately, I don't have a specific date as to when it's coming. Cool. I think that is it. So I will, like I said, send you the recording. I'll send you any material I think is useful. But by all means, get in touch if you've got any questions about anything. And I hope to see you next week. And when next week is going to be around how to forecast for COVID assistance, so things like CBILS. And we'll have a look at how we could do that using the Loan Wizard. And that'll be probably done in Futrli Advisor. So cool. I'll let you get on. You've got half an hour left blocked out, so you can, if you're at home with the kids, see what they're doing, and if you're not, you can get back to work. Cool. I'll chat to you later. Thanks a lot, everyone. Speak to you in a bit. Bye bye.